What's up, everybody? It's James with RC Air Shenanigans. Steve is around here somewhere. We are currently in Steve's hangar. You can see all of his planes here. And over here we got the Ryanair 737, a Big Hoss A10. But today we are going to set up the BlueFire Afterburner on the Freewing F-14 right here behind me. So, with that being said, let me flip the camera around and get right back to you. Okay, so the new model Afterburner, this is 5280RC's latest and greatest. This is called the Select-A-Fire module. Let's see if I can pull it out of here one-handed. What this does is allows you to change the percentage of throttle where the flicker is and where the orange LED turns on solid. So you can adjust the flicker, the LEDs flash when you're advancing the throttle, and then eventually they turn solid and get brighter as the throttle advances. You can set the percentage of the flash, the strobe, and where the LED becomes solid. So if you only like it to flicker for, say, 25% of the throttle and then turn solid and get brighter after that up to 100%, then you can do that. And we're going to learn how. These are the actual LED modules. Kind of see them down in there. We'll get to those in a little bit. Those go on the motors. So I'm going to put them back in the box. I'm going to set you guys up on the tripod, and we're going to get started. Okay, so first things first, we need access to the motors. And I forgot to tell Larry with 5280RC that these are for in-runners, not outrunners. So they may or may not fit. I did not even think about that. So I might have to modify this a bit because I forgot to tell Larry that these are designed for MiG-29 in-runners, not the standard outrunners that come on the F-14. Okay, so we're gonna pull the screws to the motors. Okay, something super important to remember when you're ordering afterburners from 5280RC is to let Larry know what motors are in your plane if they're modified. So Steve's F-14 actually has the motors from the Freewing MiG-29, so they're bigger. They don't have the original Outrunner motors that come in the F-14. So I had to modify the mounts for the Afterburner because I never told him that we have upgraded motors. So he sent the mounts, the Afterburner mounts, for the original F-14 motors. So don't do what I did. Order the right motor if you've changed it. That's all. It's very important, and it'll save you from having to cut plastic to make it fit on your motors. Okay, so what you need to do is mount the LED to the motor. So we're going to take some foam tack and we're going to put some on the mount here. And we're going to put some glue right directly on the motor here. So, you take the motor, normally it slides right on, but there's a little modifying with this one so that it'll fit. But basically, you just slide it on like so. Make sure it's nice and straight. And then you take your zip tie, and this just helps hold it on. And we're gonna zip tie the mount right on. Just like so. Now that that's on there, we're gonna let that dry, and we're gonna do the same exact thing to the other side. Thank you. Don't forget to clean up your zip ties. There we go. Okay. Get that right down into place. And we're gonna set this into place just like that. Let's show you guys what it looks like on the inside. This is what it should look like. Boop, just like that. Boop. The next step, we're gonna run the wires, which on the F-14, a lot of planes have covers like this, which means that you're gonna have to pull that cover up and re-glue it. Make sure that these wires are tight. You don't want slack in the lines, just in case it gets sucked into the motor. It's more of a problem with the F-22. There's actually a channel here, so it's highly unlikely for it to happen with the F-14. But on planes where the motor sits right in the middle and the wires go underneath the motor and up to the fuselage, up the fuselage into the canopy where the receiver is. If you have loose wires, you don't tighten them down, you don't take the slack out in the front, those wires can suck into a motor. We had that happen with an F-22. So make sure you take the slack out of your wires. For the F-14, this is a little more involved than most planes. Most planes, you're just gonna run it right along the ESC, and you can usually get to it from the canopy with a fish tape, with a wire fisher, or a wire fish tool. So you just run this right through the canopy right here, whoop, and it will pop out back here. You just grab the wires and pull them right through. Normally it's super easy, but the F-14 is a special case. Okay, so as we just found out, we're gonna have to take the wing cover off. I'm just making sure, yeah, okay. I'm just gonna poke this right down here like this, grab my little wires, and we're just gonna pull them right up through the middle here. I'll flip it over to pull the slack out. And then we're gonna shove those right through here, right up in here. So the control module will sit like right here. To sweep the wings and see where these little control arms mount to. Let's stick that right on top of the battery and make sure that will work with the canopy. See if the canopy actually closes.
There's a lot of room, but there's not a lot of room. Ooh, barely.
Oh, okay, so you'll just have to have the module on top of the battery. Another not normal thing that we have to do is add some servo extensions. You go white to yellow, black to brown. We're just extending the servo leads on the afterburner. So this one goes just like this. We just added servo lead extensions on the control module. That's all we're doing here. The new afterburner module comes with a Y cable pre-wired. So all we have to do here, we just take the throttle cable, plug it in. Now the throttle cable, the ESC cable is plugged into the module. And we plug the module into the throttle slot on the receiver. There we go. Let's get the wires from the other motor. Fish wire, like so. drop this through the hole. And like magic, we're gonna pull up the afterburner wires. We're gonna give you a breakdown of this too, if you get lost, to make it super simple. Now, the afterburner module has 4 wires on it. We're gonna run them right through here. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and there's 4. Okay, you'll notice that 2 of these have silver marks and 2 of them don't. Plug them in, make sure you're going black to black. Boop. And there we go. Grab the other silver one. Red to red, black to black. Okay, now those wires are run. So now that's all hooked up. We've got the module right here. All you do with the module is when you plug your plane in, you just plug the afterburner into the balance lead on your battery, and your afterburner will have power. That's all there is to it. And we will go over how to program the flicker shortly. Okay, one thing to remember when you have a system with 2 batteries is to make sure you're plugging the afterburner into the battery that runs the receiver and the ESC, which I understand you're thinking that both batteries run the ESCs, because that's why there's 2 ESCs, but one of the ESCs is the one that's giving the receiver power, and that'll be the one with the BEC on it. So just make sure that you plug the battery that's running the receiver into the afterburner. That way it has a common ground through the receiver and the throttle. For BlueFire, once the unit's powered on, the default value of flickering is at 30% throttle. The main orange LED will come on solid at 50%. So the flickering stops at 30% and it becomes solid at 50%. The orange turns on at 50%. So I'm gonna wind up holding the plane while Steve throttles up so you can see what it does. We're just showing you the default right now and how to plug it in. So we're gonna plug in the plane. Okay, so I just take the afterburner and plug it in just like that. Okay, go for it.
Just do a quick 10.
That's all there is to basic setup on the BlueFire afterburners. And we'll show you how the variable Select-A-Fire works in just a minute. All right, we're gonna plug it in and then explain what we're about to do just in case it's too noisy for you to hear. And we need to be sure to plug it into the right one. What we're gonna do is set the flicker. So if you don't like the flicker, you can turn it off right there. No more flicker. You just have the orange flame. Well, you have the blue flame and the orange, but it won't flicker. But we like the flicker. We're gonna set it to 30%. We're gonna set the flicker at about 30% throttle. So what you have to do is turn off the throttle cut, and then you secure the plane and advance the throttle to the percentage that you want the orange light to turn on. We're gonna go with 30%, so Steve's gonna advance the throttle to 30%. I'm gonna hold the button. The LEDs are gonna flash 3 times. Once they flash, that's the new default setting. The flicker will turn on 20% below wherever you set the orange. So if you set it at 30% for the orange light to come on, then at 10%, that's where the flicker is going to come on. To set the throttle to 30%, you have to have the throttle cut off in order for it to work. We're going to hold down the set button And these LEDs are gonna flash 3 times. 1, 2, 3, and that's the new default setting for the orange LED to turn on. At 30%, the orange LED will turn on. 20% before that, the blue light turns on and starts flickering. So that should be 10%. Whenever you're ready, we tested out the Afterburner at dusk, and as expected, it looks incredible. But just wait until you see how bright it is during the day out in the desert. And the brightness will just increase from there. Oh, wow! Oh, awesome. Ooh, that's a good looking plane. Tail hook. Ha! Nice.